stops chasing. When a woman stops chasing, something extraordinary happens. Not because she becomes cold, not because she stops caring, but because she finally remembers who she is. A woman who stops chasing is not giving up. She is waking up. She realizes that her worth is not proven by how hard she tries to be chosen. Her value is not measured by how much she tolerates. Her strength is not defined by the people she loses, but by the woman she becomes. When a woman stops chasing, she starts attracting, because her silence becomes louder than her words, her standards become stronger than her feelings, her presence becomes more powerful than her effort. When a woman stops chasing, she finally understands this truth. If someone truly wants her, she will never have to run after them. If someone values her, she will feel it, consistently, clearly, honestly. If someone sees her worth, they will move toward her, not away from her. And once she learns that, she stops explaining, stops begging, stops proving, stops shrinking herself just to fit into someone else's comfort zone. She stops giving chances to people who only give her confusion. She stops prioritizing people who treat her like an option. She stops breaking her own heart just to keep someone else comfortable. When a woman stops chasing, her energy shifts. She becomes calm, more focused, more grounded, because she knows that whatever is meant for her will never have to be forced. When a woman stops chasing, she elevates, she grows, she glows, her power returns, her peace returns, her identity returns. And suddenly, the same people who weren't sure about her, the same people who took her for granted, the same people who ignored her effort, start wondering why she isn't chasing anymore. They start noticing the silence, they start feeling the distance. They start realizing the value she always had, but they never appreciated. This is the irony. The moment she stops chasing is the moment they start. Not because she changed who she is, but because she finally stopped handing her worth to people who never earned it. A woman who stops chasing becomes a woman who is followed, respected, chosen by the right people, not the wrong ones. So if you're that woman today, if you feel tired, drained, unappreciated, if you feel like you've been running after people who aren't running toward you, listen closely. You don't need to chase. You don't need to convince. You don't need to prove your worth. You just need to remember who you are. Because when a woman stops chasing, she doesn't lose anything. She finally stops losing herself. And that's when everything she deserves finally finds her. When a woman remembers her worth, there comes a moment in a woman's life when she pauses, looks at the energy she's been pouring out, and finally asks herself, why am I running after what doesn't run toward me? And that moment changes everything. Because when a woman stops chasing, she isn't becoming distant, she is becoming aware. Aware of her value, aware of her effort, aware of the imbalance she has been carrying for far too long. She realizes that love shouldn't feel like a competition, attention shouldn't feel like a reward, and connection shouldn't feel like a desperate attempt to prove she's enough. She begins to understand that chasing someone requires her to abandon parts of herself, her peace, her dignity, her boundaries. And for what? For temporary affection? For inconsistency? For the illusion of being chosen? No. A woman who wakes up to her worth stops begging for space in someone else's life. She no longer tries to fit where she was clearly not meant to belong. Instead, she stands up straighter, breathes deeper, and reconnects with the power she forgot she had. Her worth becomes non-negotiable. When she stops chasing, her energy changes. A woman's energy is one of the most powerful forces on earth. When she is chasing someone, that energy leaks. It drains. It weakens. Because she is putting her strength into holding on to something that isn't holding on to her. But the moment she stops chasing, her entire presence shifts. It becomes calm, grounded, magnetic. The desperation dissolves, the fear disappears, the anxiety that comes from wondering whether she matters fades away. She no longer checks her phone 20 times for a reply that never comes. She no longer rearranges her life for someone who can't make basic effort. She no longer apologizes for wanting clarity, respect, or consistency. Instead, she invests that energy back into herself, her goals, her peace, her confidence, her spirit. And as she pours into herself, something beautiful happens. Her glow returns, her intuition sharpens, her emotional boundaries harden. She begins attracting experiences and people who match her value rather than diminish it. She becomes the kind of woman who doesn't chase because she knows she doesn't have to. Silence becomes her power. A woman who stops chasing becomes silent, not out of anger but out of understanding. Her silence is not empty, it is full of clarity, full of lessons, full of unspoken truths she no longer wastes breath explaining. Because she has discovered that people hear what they want to hear, see what they want to see, and appreciate what they're ready